Good morning. Session 4 and Improvement in Food Resources chapter. So what did we study till now? We understood about approaches which enhances the crop yield. So which are those? Crop variety improvement, crop production improvement and crop protection improvement, or we can also tell as management. So we studied about crop variety improvement. We understood there about hybridization. What are the factors we have to check while choosing the variety of crop. We also understood that, or the knowledge of the crop also should be known, which crop has to be sown or grown in a particular season. Then let's come to the second one, crop production improvement. So in crop production improvement, we have three sectors again: nutrition management, irrigation and cropping pattern. So in our last class, we completed nutrition management. Now as we animals or we human beings require both macro and micronutrients for our growth, development and survival, similarly plants also require nutrients. Then we understood how do they get the free nutrients available in the air and soil, available in the air and water. And in terms of soil, we have different macro as well as micronutrients. So the free nutrients available are 3, and our nutrients available in the soil, that is macro and micro, put up to 13. That means totally 16 nutrients are required by plants for their growth and development. Then let's move on to irrigation. Now what is irrigation? So irrigation is something called as a watering the plants. Now we all water the plants at home, but we don't call that process as irrigation. So how do we define irrigation? Watering the plant in a large scale is known as irrigation, and that we do in fields, right? We water them in a very large scale. Now what are the different two methods of irrigation? If I talk about, there are two methods of irrigation. One is sprinkler system and second one is drip irrigation, right? But we are not studying about the methods of irrigation here. Now where is sprinkler system of irrigation used? Where is drip irrigation method is used? We will not study that, but let us only understand these are the two types of irrigation or the process suitable for a particular crop only. You can't be using sprinkler everywhere, you can't be using drip irrigation everywhere, but we don't study that in detail. You have already completed that in your 8th grade. Now we move on to what are the different methods, or different, instead of methods, I can also give this as sources. Both are same here, but still we give the name as sources because this comes under methods and types. So what are the different sources of irrigation through what we can water the plants, as what we know is by wells. Now when we talk about wells, it is tube well, dug well, then canals, river lift system, tanks, rainwater harvesting. Now basically what everybody knows is how fields will get water when it rains, right? But throughout the year it will not rain. So only during, if in the monsoon, of course yes, but through other period of time, how we have to water, or how the irrigation process goes on, it goes on with these many sources. So when we talk about well, we have tube wells and dug wells. So tube well, another name is a bore well, which is a common name which we all know. Dug well is the well. Normal wells what we have seen, that is what called as a dug well. Now how this will serve as an irrigation purpose? Tube well, we can pump the water with the help of the motor. Thus using tube well, the fields can be irrigated. Next, dug well, also mechanically, that is manually also the water can be lifted and watered, or through the pump. The another one is through a bullock system or bullock operated system. We can actually draw the water from the well and it is it is given to the plants. Next is canals. Canals is directly connected with the river. So it is directly pumped to the river or nearby thing. It is being led to the fields. River lift system. Now in river lift system, what will happen is a pump is directly connected in the river. So from there the water is pumped directly and let into the field. But only limitation in river lift system is the field should be nearby to the river, because we can't be we can't arrange such a big pump from a river to a field. So if a field is very next to the river, then river lift system can be utilized. Tanks, we all know it acts as a small reservoir, water tanks, syntax tank, any small reservoir, a small thing what you can just keep it in your farm and use it as a irrigation purpose. The last is rainwater harvesting. Now rainwater harvesting, what actually happens here is, it is not just it's raining and the fields are getting water. It's not like that. So a particular system is set up there. So when the rain falls, the water is allowed to collect in a store or in a tank kind of a thing, underground tank. A slope is made such that so the rainwater is allowed to fall on a surface. Through a slopey surface, it actually reaches the underground canal, what you can see, or underground small tank kind of a reservoir. From there, the water is pumped to the overhead tank or whatever facility is being done. So directly through taps, pipes or through pump, the water can be used for irrigation. So this is rainwater harvesting. It is the same system what we also use in our house, rainwater harvesting, but here the methods and techniques might be different than what we use it in our house, but it is the same old process. So this is the second part under crop protection management, that is irrigation, right? We move on to the next one, cropping pattern. So even what are the different cropping pattern, we will understand with that. This is the third part. This was the second part. First part was nutrition, which we did in our previous class. Second was irrigation, and the third one is crop patterns. Now when I talk about crop patterns, there are three different patterns which we all know. One is, or the first one is mixed cropping. The second one is intercropping. And the last one is crop rotation. Right? Now, when we look at these things, mixed cropping, intercropping and crop rotation, they suggest us, they give us an idea. Let us first discuss about what is mixed cropping. Now, what does this name tell you? Mixed cropping. So, 2 or 3 different crops are mixed together and they are just sown in the field. Now, why do you think they mixed 2 or 3 crops? There are again advantages here. What it could be? Say about for the first one, if a particular crop is there. So, say we are growing. Okay, let me first give you an example of mixed cropping. Based on that, I can tell you. Example is wheat and gram can be an example, or wheat and mustard can be, or we can also use sunflower and groundnut. Okay. Yes. So now these are the 2 crops. I have chosen 2 crops here. It can be even 2 or more crops. So for example, we have sown now wheat and gram, right? Now for the wheat and gram, I require certain fertilizers. Say about I am using NPK fertilizer here. Now what is this NPK fertilizer? Nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. So this fertilizer is used for this. But the fertilizers what I am using, wheat requires only, assume that it requires only phosphorus and potassium. Nitrogen is not required by the wheat, right? But in case if I had only grown the wheat crop and I am using NPK fertilizer, nitrogen is just going waste, because nitrogen is not absorbed, or wheat does not require nitrogen for the growth, right? So, but what is happening? Nitrogen is going waste. So, what we do here is, along with that, if I have sown grams, so they will maximum make use of nitrogen, because nitrogen is nothing but a source of a protein. We studied under nitrogen cycle. So, that is how, one example what I gave you, when I use NPK fertilizer in the field, both wheat and gram will equally divide that, will equally distribute. So whatever wheat wants, wheat will take, whatever gram wants, gram will take, or whatever in general they want, they will start distributing. So that is one major advantage, right? Second, what we can tell is, suppose the wheat crop was affected by pest. So what will happen? A particular pest will affect wheat, right? So we say rust. Actually, you had in it which microorganisms or which bacteria or viruses affect the crops or plant. We call this as a rust of wheat. Usually, the name what we give, not the usual iron rusting, but spoiling or the pest on the wheat is also called as rust of wheat. Suppose the wheat gets rust. What will happen? The whole wheat crop is spoiled. But the farmer also has a gram sowed in the particular field along with wheat. So his whole and soul, crops are not spoiled because the pest has only affected a particular crop. Now, even in human body, if you get one bacteria, that one bacteria or virus will not cause all the diseases, right? It causes its own particular disease, right? Similarly, a particular bacteria or virus can affect only a particular crop. Pest, sometimes weeds or pest, it can only affect a particular crop. It might not affect the second one. That is how, if you grow 2 or 3 crops at a time in a field, in case you lose one, the second or third one will be there. Suppose for a particular crop, biotic and abiotic resistance, when we talk about, due to extreme heat or extreme rainfall, one crop might get spoiled, but the second crop can withstand to that extreme heat and temperature, both. So here hybridization also plays a very important role. What type of crops we have chosen? Probably a wheat is the best crop what we have chosen, or the seed what we have chosen. Then the gram might get spoiled due to the biotic and abiotic resistance, but wheat will stay for a longer time, right? Just one example for wheat and gram I gave you. It could be for wheat and mustard. It could also be for sunflower and groundnut. So did you understand what are the advantages of mixed cropping? One thing is, the nutrients what a particular crop requires are equally distributed, and the soil is fertile because the soil gets all the type of nutrients. Like if you remember in crop variety part, when we discussed about, or when we discussed about compost or green manure, when we discussed, we actually discussed about few things. You grow sun hemp or gore plant. So what will happen? This plant will bring all the nutrients on the surface. So similarly, when you grow a particular, what type of nutrients did the gore and sun hemp come on the surface? Phosphorus, all these things it brought on the nitrogen, phosphorus. They were rich in nitrogen and phosphorus because that plant required. So those plants brought those nutrients from the deep inside the soil to the surface. Similarly, when you grow variety of crops in one field, what will these do? Each crop or each grain here, according to their requirement, they start bringing up the nutrients which are deep in the soil on the surface. That means your soil is always fertile. You get enough and more nutrients even though if you don't add them, because there are different crops which are grown. Different crop requires different nutrients, that we all know. So that is one advantage of going with mixed cropping. Examples: wheat and gram, wheat and mustard, sunflower and groundnut, right? And here again, it is not that you will decide, let me grow wheat and rice, let me grow lemon and sunflower. No, it is again a farmer should have a knowledge about the crops, what can be grown in a particular thing. Now even in your schools you have exams, right? So all your core subject exams, right, falls on a day. Then your languages, no, right? Actually, when you see, you will first your pre-test, post-test, or whatever you have one subject, you have one language, you have one core subject, right? Have you ever come across your core subjects all are on the same day? Then your languages, no, because that depends on that is actually a timetable management, what we call, right? A student should not be burdened with the core subjects like mathematics, science, social science. Along with that, always a language will be there. That is how even here they know what type of crop to be mixed with a particular crop. It is not just you decide, let me grow wheat and rice, let me grow sunflower and lemon. No, right? Yeah. So next we'll go to intercropping. Now what is intercropping? Now intercropping is somewhat called as a mixed cropping only, but it follows a particular pattern. Now what pattern? Assume that this is a field, right? So I will grow a type of a crop. Let me take this is A type of a crop. Then I will grow a B type of a crop. Then I will again grow A type of a crop. That means I have chosen two crops here, but I am growing them in pattern. How? I am growing 3 rows of a type of A crop, then another 3 rows of B crop, another 3 rows of, again I am repeating the A crop here. Now which are the crops when we talk about in intercropping? That can be, say, soya bean plus maize, or I will write here, and it could be also finger millet. What is finger millet in common terms known as? It is called as bajra. Right? Nowadays millets are in trend, right? So finger millet, that is bajra, plus cowpea. What is cowpea known as in our local language? What we call lobia. So assume that I have grown soya bean here, I will grow maize here. Again I will grow soya bean here. Again in the last 3 rows I will grow maize here. Or I have grown finger millet here, cowpea here. Finger millet here, cowpea here. I am making 3 rows of each crop. So again this is called as intercropping. Now again, what is intercropping? What is the benefit of intercropping is, again here the same thing. Again the pest, when I talk about, it acts here. But what will happen? Assume that this got a pest, right? So there are some pests on type A crop, that is on soya bean I have a pest. Now that means in the whole field soya bean should get pest, right? What will happen in this case is only this row crops will get spoiled, because that pest could not move to this part, because that pest is meant only for soya bean, not for maize. But luckily what has happened, I have chosen the rows. So only the crop of this row, which is soya bean, is there, it is spoiled. But I have different rows of soya beans there still. Those are safe. Why? Because after soya bean, I have maize over there. So that is one benefit of intercropping. Your crop can get, a particular crop can get spoiled, but only in a row. Because this next what will happen is the another crop, next row. It is not only 3 rows actually. Here 3 rows is just an example, right? It will be a huge rows, right? Because 3 rows are hardly 3 lines. It's just an example what I gave you. A huge row of soya bean is grown. Then a huge row of maize is grown. And again a huge row of this is grown. Pest will not start running from one row to another. If it catches, only one row is spoiled completely. One whole thing is spoiled. One whole pattern is spoiled. That's all. It will not touch the next pattern of soya bean. So that means my one pattern of soya bean got spoiled by pest, but not the other. I have safeguarded the other crops. That is the advantage of intercropping. Next is mixed cropping. No, I'm sorry. Next is crop rotation. Now what is this crop rotation? Rotation of the crops. Right. When I talk about rotation of the crops, it again depends on which crops I have grown. Now for example, if I have grown a particular crop, say for example it will only take a month to harvest or 3 months to harvest. That means I have grown a crop, after 3rd month my field is empty, I can grow second crop. That also will take 4 months. Again after 4 months, so 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means in a particular year I can grow 3 to 4 crops extra or 4 to 5 crops extra depending on the crop I am growing, right? So what will happen here? You are repeating the crops. Assume that you are repeating 4 different types of crops in a same field, one after the other. That means you sow the crops, you harvest it, grow the next variety. Again you harvest it, again grow the next variety. It depends how much time it takes for harvesting. But in a particular same field only you are growing the crops again and again. But main advantage here, what will happen, you need not prepare the soil. Why? Because you have grown a crop, that crop would have again brought all the nutrients on the surface, right? Immediately sow the next crop. Again that requires different nutrients or different fertilizers. So every time what you grow, every time what nutrients you go on adding to the crop, your crop becomes more and more fertile. So when we talk about advantages of this, soil fertility remains or increases soil fertility. Next is it can control the pest, right? Because what will happen, the same pest will not affect again and again. So this is about crop rotation. So there we complete the second part of our approaches, that is crop production management. So in our tomorrow's class we will understand, now we have selected the crop, now we know how to grow them, patterns to grow them, nutrients what is required. Now the crop is ready to harvest. Now before harvesting, after harvesting, what measures have to be taken so that they are not affected by both biotic and abiotic pests, that is by temperature, rainfall or by some pests. We need to study that under crop protection management, which we will be doing it in the next class. So any doubt in today's class, you can call on the same day of the video set. Thank you.